Okay.
What's up, everyone? Shaker back with another live stream, and I've got Lady Genevieve back with us again. How are you, Lady Genevieve?
I'm good. I'm definitely awake right now and not still a little out of it from New York Comic Con. Being slightly sarcastic with that. But yeah, I'm here. I'm ready. We can talk about Joker. Anything else that you want to talk about that I actually have an opinion on, more than happy to contribute.
We can talk a little bit about Comic Con. How was Comic Con? I saw your Bloodshot video.
With the one I just posted. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's saying
about that film.
That guy is saying the right things, but he's a bit too early to be saying things like, well, Marvel, we want to do something different from them, and we're going to take over from them. Well, he didn't say take over from them, but I don't know. He's just the MCU fans, what they're like, and they're coming and like, we're going to, I hope your movie bombs and all this kind of, you'll get that kind of reaction from them.
Yeah, sure, of course, but I won't deny that I definitely put Marvel in the title of the video to try to boost visibility on it, just because I want more people to be aware of the fact that the film exists and that I think people should give it a chance. I don't think he was saying anything on that panel that was purely for marketing's sake, because his job is more so on the creative side of things, and I do think that he cares more about that. I don't think he's a purely business and profits type of person. That I didn't get that vibe from him, because I talked to him more than just what you saw in that video. So I think that, if anything goes wrong with it, then it would probably just be down to studio meddling. But when he already went out of his way to say, when nobody even asked him, the fact that, the studio is giving us all the resources that we need and this and that. I mean, I don't think that they would tap into this, lesser known comic. Not that Valiant isn't known at all, but, for the masses, most people just know that Marvel and DC are a thing. So I think that it's worth giving it a shot, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to seeing Toby Kebbell get frisky with Vin Diesel, and I'm not going to say anything more than that, as if I know more than I should, because I definitely don't.
Cool. So, I mean, you've done a ton of videos, so everyone, if you want to check out Genevieve's coverage of Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, you can check out her channel, all the tons of videos there. Go and see who's in the chat. We've got Jose M, Come Through Fam, Madison, Dreamland, Belinda, Suki. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Joker film, because you finally got to see it. I've seen it a couple of times now. There's things in my review that I never kind of covered, and since then I've seen people talking about, is the Joker movie, does it have like much to the story and the plot? Does it have enough meat on that? And I've seen the theories about, was this all in Arthur's head, or the Joker's head? Maybe Arthur Fleck is just something that he thought up in the Arkham. So what do you think about that theory, that everything in the film, or maybe certain parts of the film, were just all made up in Arthur's head?
Okay, well, I will say that, so I've only seen it the one time, so I can only speak to that first viewing experience. I can't speak about any sort of rewatching if you're trying to look for details that you didn't notice the first time. I haven't done anything like that. But the first time that I watched it, the first time that, I don't remember her name, and it probably doesn't help that I'm sleep deprived doing this, but the neighbor, the first time that they have that encounter, I immediately knew that it wasn't really happening, and that everything from then on out was not really them interacting. So when they first started doing that, so it was kind of the first few times that I was seeing them interacting where I knew that they weren't really interacting and that it was all in his head, that did sort of gaslight me a little bit, where I was going, wait a minute, is any of this real? But by the end of it, I thought, no, I mean, I think that for the most part, it's kind of meant to be real, but I think that because they've taken a more artistic style as far as filmmaking and storytelling goes, that's why when you watch it, it's easy to kind of get swept up in this idea of, is this sort of an exaggeration? And it is sort of playing on the audience's perception of whether or not it is real, but I'm choosing to not really take it as all not being real, because I don't think that the film and the filmmakers, I don't think they were quite that pretentious as to just do this whole thing and then go, no, just kidding, it wasn't really real. I can understand why some people are thinking that that's how the story happened, but no, I mean, if you really wanted to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, then I'm sure you could go, well, maybe just these couple parts weren't really real. And but the thing is that I feel like they kind of made a clear distinction between when Arthur is imagining things versus when it's not really happening. Because, you know, you have those dream sequences of him interacting with Robert De Niro's character as if he's just some guest in the audience and things are going really well. And I feel like it kind of becomes too much like Inception if you're trying to. But again, if people want to watch it that way and take it that way, it takes nothing away from my viewing experience to say, well, I don't see it that way, and if that's how you choose to see it, then that's how you choose to see it. I don't know if I got really long-winded with that, but hopefully I was clear enough with it. Yeah.
Because I did see Todd Phillips say, you know, he's enjoying people come up with their own explanation of the film, their own theories, and you know, I think the interviewer asked him, "Thank you for subscribing, Altar of Madness." Thank you. Yeah, so Todd Phillips was just saying he's enjoying seeing people with their theories, and he might tell further in the future, he might explain a few things about, you know, what's really going on in the film, what's really happened, what was real, what was not. So I think that's quite good. Not like the Russo brothers who spent the time talking about, oh, Thanos demands your silence, and then just 2 weeks later they start going on, oh yeah, this happens in the film and this happens, and they explain the time travel plot very badly. So that's, you know, let's not go down that path. But someone said that this is the thing, right, that might worry me a bit, because someone said that when Arthur Fleck goes to see Thomas Wayne, okay, in the theatre, and he gets punched in the face, right? Someone said that's a dream scene, and I was like, well, no, because are you trying to tell me that Arthur Fleck is going to find out that he's adopted in a dream scene? Because, but at the same time, when he's Arthur Fleck, he's hanging over the sink, and the blood is dripping from his nose. And then he cut back to his apartment, and he's in the same position. And then he gets in the fridge. So that makes me think maybe it was a dream sequence, but then if it was, then that's a bit silly that he's learning about, you know, he's adopted through Thomas Wayne in a dream scene. So there's things like that. And but I don't think, you know, someone said that the entire film is an imagination of the Joker, and it's not truly an origin, it's just something inside. So but you know, like you see, I think you explained it, you gave your opinion fairly well. So what would you, is it a masterpiece for yourself, like other people are claiming? Do you think the film's a masterpiece?
Well, I mean, again, I've only watched it one time, so I don't think my level of analysis is quite as in-depth as some people that have already managed to see it a few times. But you know, on the first watch, I have no problem. I put it on my letterbox and I gave it 5 out of 5 because I feel like enough is going for it that, you know, it works as a 5 out of 5 for me. But I will say that, and this is not really the fault of the filmmakers or the creative people that were involved with making the film what it was, but just because of all of the media circus surrounding it beforehand, I feel like I probably need to see it once or twice more, because I was expecting it to be a lot more intense and difficult to watch than it was, and I didn't actually find it all that disturbing or dark or twisted the way that some people seem to make it out to be, whether or not they had seen it already before actually talking about it like that. I think also just I have a different, I mean, everybody has their own perspective when going into watching content. And for me, coming from the background of having studied a lot of, in higher levels of education, psychology specifically, I'm watching that, and it's kind of easy for me to just sort of analyze the different symptoms and the different things that they're depicting and going, yeah, that's accurate, and that's something that is correlated with this type of violent criminal behavior and things like that, which is one of the reasons why I'm not feeling as inclined to make just sort of a quick review, because I feel like this is the type of film that if I was going to review it, I would rather take the time and do a really in-depth one and do academic citations and stuff like that, the way that I did with my General Zod video that I just posted recently. So for me, it was, I don't get why people are watching it and feeling like it's saying that it's okay to be a criminal, because I think that that's more so an issue of you, the viewer, than it is the content itself. Maybe they just have an issue with the fact that it's being made at all, but I just feel like that's a really hypocritical stance to take, because there are plenty of films, whether older or more recent, that have a violent man as the protagonist, whether you like it or not. So I don't get why, there's no logical reason to come for this film specifically as hard, unless you're consistently having an issue with films that put those types of characters as the protagonist. So, I don't know. I definitely think that there was a lot of things going for it. Everybody's talked about Joaquin Phoenix's performance, incredible. The score was amazing. There was a lot that I really enjoyed about just the filmmaking itself, as far as just the way that they shot it, the way that they would, move the camera in a scene, things like that. So I really enjoyed it, but I just felt like, there was that kind of element of waiting for something to really upset me or horrify me that never came. So that's why I think I need to watch it once or twice more to kind of settle into it a bit, if that makes sense. And again, I feel like I've just gotten really long-winded, but I'm trying to make sure that I explain myself well and don't just give a half point and not elaborate on what I mean. But yeah, you should talk now. This is your channel after all.
I like you with your long-winded explanations. I like that. That's why you're here. So, like you said, the score is amazing from Hildur Bo. I can't remember her surname, but Hildur, her score is incredible. I've been listening to it quite a lot since I saw the film. But yeah, everything. Don't want to cover too much of what I discussed in the review, but I thought it was a very kind of emotional film, very thoughtful film, dealing with the kind of mental illness side of things. So, and it does go down parts of like very very violent scenes, but not like super disturbing or anything. That's something like we have kind of become, I don't know, desensitized.
Yeah.
Yes,
and that's the other thing as well, is because we're living in a year where I just saw, whatever, a few months ago, I saw Midsommar, that violence didn't really shock me either. Just for me, it's really easy to watch it as an adult and know that it's fiction. So I'm looking at it and going, yeah, well, that's a special effect that they've made, some type of prosthetic body double thing for them to smash up, and it's not real. So it's kind of easy to watch it and just follow it as a work of fiction. But for me, with watching a film like Joker, it was really easy to pick up on the things that have, been shown through extensive scientific research to be correlated with violent criminal behavior. And I've gone on Twitter rants about this, and I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over again. But, correlation is not causality. So I really don't appreciate when people are trying to make themselves look like they're on this moral high ground by saying that, oh, well, you can't depict somebody who's mentally ill as being a violent criminal. And it's like, okay, correlation is not causality. Not every mentally ill person is going to commit violent crimes, but it is factually inaccurate to claim that zero violent criminals have zero, mental illness. I don't even think I said that correctly grammatically, but hopefully people understand what I mean when I say that. Because, first of all, mental illness is such a broad thing to say, because a lot of people are talking more about mental illness now. So a lot of people are being more open about the fact that they suffer from things like depression and anxiety, which, are kind of like the more palatable mental illnesses that people are okay with talking about, and they feel like, it's safe to discuss that. But there are some much more, unpleasant and unsavory mental disorders that, are not as palatable, and they don't get to be discussed as openly. When people who have those conditions, they're probably less likely to talk about them publicly because they don't want to be judged for having those conditions. And again, it is not okay for people to commit violent crimes. I don't know why anyone thinks that the film is saying otherwise. It's just that, it's definitely like a bit more of an artistic take on that type of a character. But at the same time, film is an artistic medium. So I don't know what, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And like one of the things that I really appreciated was them, showing how the very clear turning point happened when the funding was cut for his ability to have, counseling and his medicine. Because, when people like try to blame fiction for, like, works of fiction for an upspike in, violent crimes or copycat things like that, it's really, I don't even know what the right word would be to describe it, but it's just not the right way to go about it. If you really care about advocating for, a decrease in violent criminal behavior and an increase in support for people struggling with mental health, then you need to be advocating for things on a legislative level to ensure that people have the access to the resources that they need. Because it's not to say that, like, okay, just take a couple pills and that's magically going to fix everything. It's not that simple, but it can definitely, on a like statistical level, you can definitely see like a decrease if more people are able to get the treatment that they need for whatever it is that they're suffering from. So it's just really like irritating to me when this is specifically what I studied in school, like to have so much misinformation being circulated and being, glorified by people, acting like, and people who, on any other social issue I might completely agree with, but on this I'm like, no, you're not right. Please stop it. I don't even remember what your original question was, Film Gob. I'm so sorry. I have not had coffee today, and that probably doesn't help. But just, yeah, anyway.
What we'll do, we'll move on to, because we've covered everything, I think, with Joker. I watched Gemini Man. Okay, we'll move into Gemini Man now.
Was that good according, not that we have the same taste in everything, but I've seen some people, I haven't seen that many people talk about it, to be honest, but the few people that I've seen have said that they liked it, I think.
I thought there's some people on my Twitter timeline, people who follow me, that they enjoyed it. I was like, okay, cool, but man, this film is very, there's not much to it, who's in this film? You've got Will Smith, who's not very Will Smithy. He's very just kind of plays the role quite straight. And you've got Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who doesn't have much of a character. She's just there. Benedict Wong, he's kind of the sidekick who helps them get from one country. Yeah, he helps them get from one country to another, and he tells some bad jokes, and that's that.
Oh boy, Clive
Owen. He's the villain, and maybe there was a couple of scenes where he's quite good, but I thought they kind of slipped in some kind of US military propaganda. I kind of felt it. I was like,
pro or anti?
Pro, I would say. Well, you know what sometimes Hollywood does is like they plant a seed in you, and they're like, oh, maybe the bad guy is right. Maybe the military does need to go do these things in other countries. So I got that vibe from it. There's a good couple of action scenes that I thought, because I watched it in 2D, right? And the big thing about this film is, high frame rate, 3D. I think some showings are in 4K or something like that. But I watched in 2D, And I thought if it's worthy of maybe a rewatch, if I like it, I'll rewatch it, and because my Odeon cinema in here in Glasgow is showing it in high frame rate. I thought I'll go and watch it again, but it wasn't really much about this film that would make me want to go watch in the high frame rate. So there was a good, the bike scene, chase scene is quite good. The fight towards the end, it's a bit short, but again, it's quite good, very well choreographed. Wouldn't mind seeing it in the high frame rate, but I'm not going to pay $20, but that's the cost of seeing it again in the special screening. So I thought it was a very bland, kind of a 90s throwback in a way, but it doesn't have any kind of fun compared to something like Face Off. It doesn't have that kind of fun to it. But the visual effects on this young Will Smith, the junior he's called, are pretty good. It's like you can still tell it's CGI, but it's close to being perfect. Maybe the voice being dubbed, that's what it sounds like. It's been dubbed and it has that kind of delay, you can tell. But I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was kind of entertaining enough, but nothing. You can certainly go and watch it, see what you think, but
I'm planning on it. I'm trying to see in the next few days or so. I want to see that, and I want to see Lucy in the Sky, and I want to see the new Addams Family film, because I love the Addams Family films from the 90s, and I was really irritated when they were making this one in animation, because why would you cast Oscar Isaac to play Gomez when he looks like Gomez? Just to animate him when there are pictures of him floating around where he already looks like Gomez, and it just bothers me, and it bothers a lot of people. I've seen, people throwing their temper tantrums online, but
it's not getting very good reviews. People say it was kind of a waste of time for them, to be honest.
Yeah, well, some people are saying, I don't know. The few things that I've seen on my social media feed were that it was still true to kind of the essence of what that whole franchise is about, I guess. That kind of subversion from suburban normality. My whole thing is, like, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to see most things this year, or like since I've gotten back into going to the cinema more often. I've seen a fair few things. I think right now for my 2019 list I have like 55 films or something like that. I don't remember. So I've seen a fair few. I haven't seen everything, obviously, but I like just having the variety in what I've seen, I guess. So those were the ones that were either out now or about to come out that I think I wanted to see. Oh, and I think I was going to go try to see, I don't even know how you pronounce it. What is his name? The guy from Workaholics, and the phone app is like trying to date him. Jexai, I think it's called.
Right, okay.
It looks ridiculous, but again, I'm just kind of going more for variety this year. I don't, even if as long as I don't look at something and go, no, I refuse to see that. Like anything where a dog is a character, I don't want to see it. Like a talking dog. I feel like that's been my main filter this year.
I've actually never seen any of these talking animal movies. I've never seen any.
Yeah, no, it's just, I think somebody compiled on Twitter, they had put these different film posters together of, characters where it's sort of like a dog. I don't think the dog is supposed to talk to the humans, but the dog can kind of have a voice as far as how it interacts with the audience. And somebody went, wait, these are all different films, and yet they've made many of these. Like, why is that a thing? But no, I like partaking in the variety, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I think those were the main ones that were out right now or about to come out that I want to see. So
I'll tell you and everyone, the film that you need to watch. It's on Parasite. This film.
Yeah, I need to see that.
It's on limited release in the US this weekend for the next week. week or two. It's not coming out in the UK until February next year. So I watched a streaming version of it, and it's so good, right?
It's Bong Joon-ho. Like, I expect nothing less.
See, that's the thing. The first movie I saw from this director was The Host, and I didn't like it. I was like, I watched it in cinema, and I've not seen it since. I want to revisit it because I didn't understand the tone. I was like, what is the tone? What is this? I don't understand. But then, since I've seen Snowpiercer, which I quite liked.
I love that. It's one of my favorite films of all time. Like, that film is the reason why I want to meet Chris Evans, just so I can ask him about making that film. Yeah.
Anyway.
Solely to talk about that film.
Okja, which I watched, which was a little bit depressing at times, but it was overall quite good. And before I watched Parasite, I caught up with Mother, which it was, again, awesome. And Memories of Murder, which again this came out back in 2003. So now I've kind of got into it after watching his films. I've kind of got into his kind of style, his tonal kind of mix that he has. And Parasite, man, I'll give you the setup, right? So what happens is this very poor family, right? You've got that actor. His name is Kang Ho Song, right? He plays the dad. But the main character, kind of, the thing is that everyone in this film gets equal amount of screen time and character development. So it's a really good cast, really good characters. You can feel for all of them. Even though they do some kind of shady things, this family. So a rich family, they have got their 2 kids. The daughter needs English lessons. So she gets a tutor, and this tutor is this young kid from this poor family. And then he brings in, one by one, his family members, his sister, to nanny the little boy of this rich family. His dad to be the chauffeur for the father of this rich family. And even the mother comes in. So one by one, they get rid of the rich family's servants, and then they take over. This poor family takes over. So they scam their way into the family. Then what happens next is even more like, so it's really about class and social.
Yeah, I read a piece on Bong Joon-ho that was to do with the media promotion for this tour, and he was talking about classes. Actually, that was a really good profile because it was talking a lot about his origins that I didn't even know about, because it's not like I've been disinterested, I just have never really sat down and tried to research him like that, and he was just talking about, his life experiences, going to university, and just the things that he experienced in Korea specifically that sort of shaped his view of the world and his approach to filmmaking and things like that. So it was just really interesting. And people have more or less said that the film is kind of about classism, class warfare, that type of thing. But yeah, I watched the trailer and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I want to see it. I hope it gives me nightmares. Not really, but maybe a little. I don't know. We'll see.
It might, maybe towards the second half of the film. But at first I thought, oh, this is amazing. Then I started thinking about it. There's something that happens towards the end that made me go, why did this character do that specific thing? How come this character survived and that character didn't? Things like that. But then the last moments of the film are perfect. Like, I thought that it was amazing. An excellent kind of bittersweet ending in a way. So I would say it's probably my top non-English language film of the year. Probably my top 5 overall of films this year. So I think you're gonna love it. I think you're gonna go nuts about it. And everyone watching, if it's playing near you, check your local showing times, for your cinemas. Yes, it's subtitled, but nothing wrong with that. So that's it. That's pretty much covered everything that I wanted to talk about. I mean, the direction for Parasite is great. Cinematography. I don't know if it's a lot of Korean films these days, but the musical score is always kind of classical music. Have you noticed? Like, I don't know if maybe it's this director's. Maybe I've been because I've been watching his previous films quite a lot recently. Maybe it's him who uses it, but I think it's a lot of Korean directors who use kind of classical music as the score, and I can't tell if it's original or if it's kind of lifted. I don't know, but it was good as well. But the characters and the performances. I mean, you know, Kang, what was his name? Kang Ho Song. He should be in every film. I love that. I love this actor. I've seen tons of his. He was in Memories of Murder. I watched that again recently, and it's funny. But this film, like all, I'm horrible with the names. Remembering these names, Bong Joon-ho, or sometimes people do it the other way around. Joon-ho Bong. I don't know why that is, but
it's because in East Asian countries and cultures, we typically, when we say people's names, we say the surname first, and then we say the first name. If you're saying the full name, that's usually the order that you say it. So for whatever reason, I don't know why. I feel like this happens more with Korean names, because I feel like when Japanese names get said, like people, when they say Hayao Miyazaki, they don't say Miyazaki Hayao. So I don't know why that is, but at least if you're wondering why it's sometimes one way and sometimes the other, I mean, that's why. So.
All right. It's very hard to remember the names though, especially Korean names mainly. But yeah, Parasite is funny. So it's like the first half of the film is a dark comedy. The things the family gets up to, trying to scam their way into this rich family. It was hilarious, and then towards the end it gets much darker, and then you start to see the kind of metaphorical kind of themes in the film as well. So it's like, there's a lot to think about in this film. I really liked it.
One of the things that I read in this profile piece about Bong Joon-ho was that he was talking about how at this point in his career, he's not really interested in doing those $100+ million budget films anymore, because he really likes to focus in on what his vision is for the story that he wants to put forth in the films that he makes. And I thought that was really interesting, that having achieved the status that he has now, not only within Korea, but you know, he's known even outside of South Korea, that's where he's landed. And I think I'm glad that that's a stance that he not only has, but that he's put it out there, because I think that it can maybe inspire other people to remember that, you know, it's obviously helpful to have more money when making a film, but it's also, you know, you don't necessarily need that much money to make a compelling film. Because he was talking about it even just on the really intimate level of just the way he would do his shots, I guess, where he doesn't like to do multiple cameras within filming a certain scene. He wants to just have the one camera so he can really focus in on exactly what it is that he wants to show. So yeah, I'm definitely more interested in seeing whatever, you know, not only this film, but whatever he wants to make and deems interesting enough. And actually, like, the whole, you know, classism thing, not just on the, you know, on the level of just people, but like, I really think you just need to read this profile piece, because it was just really interesting the way that they tied all these themes together across all of his films, where he really likes to, you know, tackle these big themes in his films. And I kind of appreciate that, because I don't know, like I finally watched Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know, can we just talk about whatever at this point?
Yeah, sure.
Talk about all the things you want to talk about. Yeah. So I watched Into the Spider-Verse, and like, for example, I think that so much was amazing about that film, but I also feel like because there's all those heroes that they're focusing on, once they get all of the different versions of that hero, out and in the open. I feel like the villain is kind of bland because they don't really give him a lot of time, and I feel like part of what defines a lot of these hero stories is that you need to have like an interesting villain too. And I feel like, for me anyway, it's an automatic deduction if I'm doing like a ranking or whatever. If the villain isn't as interesting, then even if the hero is really, really good, then I kind of am like, okay, but Man of Steel exists, and Michael Shannon's General Zod is a thing that exists. So by comparison, it just doesn't look as good. So yeah, I like when films have those big themes that you can pick up on and have them. I just think it makes the stories more interesting, and it better resonates with me as a viewer and hopefully the wider audience. And I don't know, when people just kind of do these very surface level stories, I just don't find them all that interesting. So yeah, I mean, Bong Joon-ho is not that type of filmmaker.
I watched Into the Spider-Verse. I thought it was like, visually it was okay. Like, I thought it was overhyped the way they said, oh, this is like a comic book coming to life. I was like, well, it was more like Into the Seizure-verse, because I'm sure if someone watched that film, it would be a few problems for them. I didn't like Miles Morales, this kind of dumb kid, and he reminds me of that Simpsons, the Simpsons episode where the waiter, he says, I am not an Inspector Clouseau-esque, and he's in a court and he slips and he falls in the window. Yeah, that's the kind of Miles Morales. I prefer the Spider-Man PlayStation game version of Miles Morales. That was quite good, but this was just like, oh, he's a dumb kid, and he's trying. And I understand he's trying to get used to his powers and everything, but I thought it was kind of cheap jokes and nothing great. But I don't know.
I mean, I liked it, but I just. Yeah, I know my camera angle is not flattering, but I'm doing this on an iPad, so thanks for that, some dude.
Don't read these people's comments. let me read them.
But anyway, no, carry on. Well, because I have the live stream open. No, but I mean, like, I would rate it favorably, but I guess some people, they hyped it up so much that I just think that's always a problem when stuff gets hyped up, where, if you don't love it exactly as much as they do, then by comparison it seems disappointing. But I didn't think it was a bad film at all. I enjoyed it, definitely. And I can definitely understand why, for a lot of people, like I went to a panel at New York Comic Con that was about it was for people who work in the industry that are identifying as Latinx, which basically just means like anybody from any type of Latin background, of any type of gender identity. And they were talking about how appreciative they were of that story being told specifically because, the character is going back and forth between speaking English and Spanish, and that's something that they don't get to see as much, especially on the big screen. So on that level, I definitely think that it's important for that film to be out there and existing. But yeah, so I mean, I didn't really have a problem with him as a character. For me, it was just kind of, it's, they kind of threw in the explanation of, all right, so this is what happened to Kingpin, and this is why he's doing what he's doing. But because of the fact that the story isn't really about him, and they only have so many minutes, just the way everything was divided up among all the characters that they had, he kind of got the short end of things. And I mean, I kind of felt similarly, even though I really enjoyed Suicide Squad, where, I didn't think the villain was all that interesting. It just like a mystical thing that wants to resurrect their brother, and that's kind of it. But the thing with that story is that I love all the heroes, or anti-heroes, or whatever you want to call them. So, and there's so many of them that I feel like I don't notice it as much. But with this one, I think I noticed it just a little bit more. But I mean, again, this is really getting into nitpicking, and maybe I talked myself into a corner, and I shouldn't have brought this film up in the first place. But I've never actually talked about that film on my channel before, and I always run out of time to talk about things and whatever. Oh, are you gonna see? I don't know if I'm gonna see this. I like how I was just saying, I'm gonna see a lot of things and Variety and all that. Are you planning on seeing Zombieland too?
Yeah, I'll check it out. There's nothing, doesn't look that great, but yeah.
Did you enjoy the first one?
I don't even remember that much about it.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know what it is if I'm missing something, because I feel like so many people love that film and I don't know why. Like
I think it's mainly the Bill Murray cameo. People loved that. They thought it was funny, and that was.
But that's just a cameo.
Yeah. But I watched it. I remember watching it. I was like, okay, that's fine. It's fun, but nothing memorable. I mean, they're making this. They've got the sequel coming, and I don't see that much kind of hype for it. It's just there. So, Suki97 says Amber Heard was in Zombieland. Okay, didn't know that. Amber Heard
wasn't she the one who wasn't she the one that was with Jesse Eisenberg that turned at the very beginning when he learns about he had. Okay. Oh yeah. Now it's starting to come back to me just a bit. I don't know. I just wasn't particularly interested or invested in the characters, so I couldn't really be invested in. Like, I didn't feel the stakes. I guess maybe that wasn't the point because it was more comedic. But I don't know. I didn't feel any drama with it.
But there was one movie you caught up with. What was that movie? It was Captain Marvel. You messaged me, you're like, she messaged me, says like, that movie was so just not bland, or what was it you said?
Yeah, well, I said that it was bland because, like, the thing is that I saw so much outrage and upset when that film came out. I had every white dude who makes videos about films, and specifically superhero films, I saw all of their videos on my feed of, you should watch this, and I'm going, YouTube. And it was just, people were so upset about that film, and I have no idea what they were upset about, because I just felt like 2 hours passed and then the film was over. I mean, there was nothing in it for me to go, oh, I'm so upset and offended and horrified, except for that one shot that was just really, really ugly cinematography where they're out in not the desert, but out in nature or wherever they are. It was her and it was Jude Law, and I just thought it was a really ugly shot. But but that's one shot in the film. That's not enough outrage for me to sit down and make a 20-minute video or an hour-long video like some lunatic did on YouTube complaining about it, where I'm going,
I think that was Shorty McShortbread.
No, I'm sure you must have seen it, because I think I didn't watch, because I don't have time to watch an hour-long video of some guy complaining about Captain Marvel. But I just didn't really understand why people were so upset, because it was so just like nothing happened. It was just nothing happened. I don't know why people were upset.
It was mainly about Brie Larson and her politics and her comments before the film.
But that's not the film. They were talking about the film specifically. That's the thing. It's like, if you have a problem with her, you have a problem with her, okay, then you have a problem with her. But then, like, why is the video not about her? You're talking about the film. And, like, the film was just bland. Like, it was just nothing happened.
But, that's always been my criticism of the MCU. It's bland. Everything in it is bland. The direction, the cinematography, the fight choreography, the sound, the music score, the special effects look unfinished. The films look rushed, right? And it's just, and then Captain Marvel comes out and it looks like everything that I don't like about MCU is all in that film. It was so basic bitch. That's the term that I think of when I think about Captain Marvel. Basic bitch.
Did you see those tweets that I retweeted where somebody had tweeted that their professor or somebody had worked for Marvel at one point, and they were just kind of exposing and laying into just the horrible work conditions of working VFX for them or something like that? And I mean, that's an issue that I actually feel, it's not even a Marvel issue really, where I just feel very strongly across just the film industry in general that if you're going to make something that's very VFX heavy, you need to map out a timeline that gives the people who do the VFX enough time to do it properly, because otherwise it's just not worth doing. I mean, maybe that's just me being overly optimistic about the situation or whatever, but I mean, to me it's just common sense of like, why are you going to rush this out and have it look like trash when you could put something out that's actually great, and then people will want to, go see it multiple times and buy the DVD and get invested in the franchise, and then you can, or not just invested in the film, and you can expand it into a franchise. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just really have an issue with that, where I don't like this tendency that the film industry has, because they're an industry, because they're business first, to, not give people who do that job enough time to properly do that job. So, yeah.
Do you have any... you heard about Kevin Feige developing a Star Wars film, right? Do you think, is that anything you'd be interested in, or?
I mean, okay, I don't know if this is like exposing me or whatever, but I'm actually not... it's not like I refuse to see them. I am not invested in that drama, but it's just more so a matter of, like, for the last few years, I had not seen a lot of films out in cinemas just because just other things were going on. So, like, I have not seen the other Star Wars films that are outside of, like, the main arc, so, like, the episodic films. But I'm gonna sit down and watch them eventually. Like, I have them all downloaded and onto my Netflix thing, and, like, I'm ready to watch them or whatever. But so, like, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other about the expanding the Star Wars films into other areas and, like, the quality of the execution of those stories. So, like, to me, it's just, that's way too early to have an opinion about whether or not I want to see that. I'm going to see episode 9, I know that, but as far as anything beyond that, I don't really have an opinion as to whether or not I want to see them right now, because it's just they're just ideas at this point, it's just people saying that it's a thing that is going to happen, but that could also change, you know what I mean? Like, things, how many things have been announced, and then they go, just kidding, they're not, like, oh my god, the Ghost Rider series that they were supposed to do on Hulu, and then they recently, or maybe not that recently, but they said, oh, just kidding, creative differences, we couldn't get it off the ground. And they had already announced it. They had already said it was going to happen. And then a year went by, and then they're just, or I don't even know how long it went by, and then they went, never mind, we're just not going to do it because we can't get people to agree on stuff. So, I don't know, maybe that's not a real answer, but to me, I don't feel like I can give a real answer when it's just people saying, oh, well, we're working on this. I'm going, okay, but that doesn't tell me anything, I need way more information about that. I mean, I don't really know how many, like, future Disney releases I have much interest in seeing, just because I think their target demographic tends to be a lot younger than the type of content that I usually watch. So, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the only real, like, I'm not really, any, like, Frozen 2, I'm not seeing Frozen 2.
Oh, did you see the horrible Jungle Cruise trailer?
I don't think I saw the full trailer. I think I saw some of it. Like, I saw, Emily Blunt swinging around, and Dwayne Johnson was steering a boat, and I think that's as far as I got. Just because I was scrolling on Twitter and just scrolling really fast, and but I'm not getting. It looks. It's like. I'm not getting that platform. So if I'm watching it, I should not finish that sentence. Let me.
I think it's a theme park, I think, in Disneyland. I don't know, they've made another movie out of one of the theme parks. Martin Scorsese comes in and says, the Marvel movies are nothing but theme parks, they're not cinema. Do you know how happy, Genevieve, how happy that made me that day? I woke up, I knew I was going to go and see Joker the same day. I woke up and I was like, Martin Scorsese's called the MCU theme parks. I was like, thank you. He went full film gob. Martin Scorsese went full film gob. So and he's doubling down on those comments. He came out with something today. He says he's not happy with this invasion of theme parks in cinema. Didn't single out Marvel this time, but all those kind of films that I understand there's a place for them, but when people start claiming that these are the films you have to go and watch. Never mind those Parasites and those other films, never mind them. This is the Marvel and the Disney and the Pixar. That's what you need to go. Did you see how bad the new, what is it, Onward, I think it's called, Pixar film? It was so, like, a horrible design, character design, horrible setup. I was like, what is this? It's so bad. It's like, and understand your imagination can take you places with, Pixar creators, right? Their imagination is so crazy, but it still needs to make some kind of sense.
I haven't seen the trailer for this. I had to look up because I was going, Onward, which one is that? And I had to look it up.
It's got Tom Holland and Chris Pratt doing the voices. It was just like...
Yeah, I had to look at the thumbnail.
I'll definitely be giving that a miss. But yeah, I remember seeing some kind of stat where in a certain amount of years, Pixar had done a certain amount of films, right? Then they got taken over by Disney, and in the same amount of time, under the ownership of Disney, they've had to double the amount of films. I think it was about double the amount of films they've done. So definitely the quality is like, it's like they don't care. Just like the MCU, they're thinking about 4 MCU films a year. Like, why? What is this? Their storytelling isn't even that good. They just kind of rehash the same story most of the time, and the same jokes. So, yeah, I'm thinking of cancelling my cinema pass, because you get a lot of the cinema pass that I have, Cineworld. They seem to promote a lot of Disney stuff, and then I go and watch a film that I've been looking forward to. Turns out it's alright, it's 20th Century Fox. Oh, my money just went to Disney. So that happened with Ad Astra, and there's another film recently that I was like, I watched it, but I was like, it was a good film, but it was 20th Century Fox. Normally I would be happy with that, but unfortunately, Disney got my money. So,
I mean, I don't go so far as to say that I refuse to ever see anything Disney, just because I'm not really trying to, and again, this is not me telling you how to spend your money. Obviously, you can see or not see whatever you don't want to see, but for me, I'm very infrequent when it comes to going to films that I feel like are more so targeted towards a younger audience. The only one that I've seen recently that I think would fall under that type of film was Abominable, and I actually enjoyed that more than I thought that I would, because I thought it would be a lot more childish, and I feel like there was more maturity in it than I was expecting, which was a pleasant surprise. That was a DreamWorks film, I think in collaboration with, I don't know the name of the company, but I think it's a collaboration with like a Chinese release, or a Chinese company. So yeah, I enjoyed that. But I mean, like I've said, already on this stream, I was like, I'm gonna go see episode 9. I mean, that's under the umbrella of Disney, but it's not like I'm, desperate to see it a million times. Like, I don't know. I think it also just might be an age thing where, I watched the prequel trilogy when I was a certain age, and it just like resonated with me in a certain way. So that's why like I'm more emotionally attached to that trilogy and the original trilogy than I am the newer trilogy. Just because I'm probably at a different place in my life as far as the content that I look forward to. For example, I just realized we can talk about this. Guy Ritchie's new film, The Gentleman. Oh my God, I am so excited. We are seeing Guy Ritchie go back to classic Guy Ritchie. But let me tell you something. All they've done is release one poster, one trailer that barely tells you anything about, plot, characters, and things like that. And yet already I saw bad takes to do with the film, and I was ready to fight because, here's the thing. If people say rude things about Zack Snyder on Twitter, I don't like it, but I already know that by the time I found out about it, there's a billion people that have already, jumped to his defense, and they've got it covered, and I don't even need to say anything because it's already been said. And I'm like, okay, good, like, nice job, you all handled it, and I didn't have to do anything. But with Guy Ritchie, I don't know where, like, the Guy Ritchie fandom is, but I always feel like I'm alone by myself just standing Guy Ritchie. So when I saw somebody get, in their feelings about the fact that Henry Golding is playing a gangster in Chinatown. And I'm like, all of Guy Ritchie's characters are gangsters. Like, this whole story, and like how many of his films, it's always thieves and gangsters, all of them. Like, you should be happy that we're finally getting an Asian guy in Guy's films, because, like, listen, as much as I love Guy, he is not, the most diverse in terms of casting, and like, it is what it is. I'm not gonna like defend it. I'm not gonna like attack him for it, because like, I think what he offers is unique enough that, we can try to nudge him in the right direction to be a little bit more inclusive in the future. But it's like, that's what he's doing now. And then people want to be mad that, like, oh, well, it's like in Chinatown. It's like, Chinatown exists because Chinese people made it. Like, what? Are you saying that, like, Chinese people are not allowed to go to Chinatown? Am I not allowed to go to Asian, neighborhoods because I'm Asian and I'm there's literally an academic term for this. It's called stereotype threat. But like, I don't want to like waste your time getting long-winded about academic terminology, but that's besides the point. So I was like, you haven't even seen the film yet, and you're mad because like one scene was shown to be in China. Like, they have shown you nothing about the character, and you know nothing about Guy Ritchie's process. Like, anyway, sorry. I just like, I get really in my feelings about Guy Ritchie. So, I really want to get in on that junket, but I know I'm probably too irrelevant to get anywhere near it. But, I'm very excited for that film specifically, and I'm ready to stand. I'm ready to go on opening night or opening day or whenever, and probably see it multiple times just to be stubborn, because people don't see Guy Ritchie's films enough when they're out, and it's a problem.
I will watch it. I will watch it, but the trailer didn't get me excited in any way. I thought it was very confusing, which is kind of, the whole, his films with the whole plot of this character's happening and that character's and this character and that character and then this. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be one of those films where you have to pay close attention, what's going on, every scene, every dialogue, you've got all the different accents, and it's be interesting how Americans kind of keep up with his films, because even us over here, we're like, sometimes he goes a bit over the top, too far, too many
I love it, but the thing is, he's more self-aware than people give him credit for. Like, I've watched many Guy Ritchie interviews, whatever, it is what it is. And in one of his interviews, he was talking about how, like certain films that he did, he was like, oh yeah, like this film almost ruined my career. And, people have said that it's esoteric, and I'm not denying that might be, the case. But I mean, I like it. I still like it to this day. And not everything he makes is going to slap as hard for the viewers. But I mean, I just feel like Guy Ritchie is one of those filmmakers where what he does is unique enough, and I enjoy it, and it's entertaining, and also I just feel like so many things come out that can just kind of blend into one another, that I want something that actually has its own voice. And I feel like when he does that, I mean, I just see, now I'm talking about Guy Ritchie, and all I can think about is how much I want to rewatch Rock and Roll, and now that I met Toby Kebbell, and it was the best day ever. Oh my god.
I have to stop you there. We have someone here who says King Arthur is criminally underrated. What do you think?
Yes, thank you. Truth. That is the truth. That is underrated, and so is The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I mean, more or less, almost all of Guy Ritchie's films are underrated, like, especially, in the more recent years. Like, those two, see, I really want to know, like, what the tea is. I want to know if he and WB had a falling out because of King Arthur, because, like, why else? This is totally me speculating. I am irrelevant. I don't know anything. Don't come for me. Don't act like I said that something was true when I have no idea. Okay, I'm just speculating. Why would they hire a different director for Sherlock Holmes 3 when Guy Ritchie is the one who made those films what they are? And I'm like, okay, well, this is all under WB, and if they're still mad and holding a grudge because of what happened with King Arthur, which is stupid. Like, why are they mad at him for it? Like, did you market it properly? That's a genuine question. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, don't act like it's all on him. His job is to make a decent film, and he did that. So just because some people didn't get it, how is that his fault?
Yeah, Warner Brothers seem to have problems with every director these days, but David Ayers, Zack Snyder, but yeah, no, King Arthur, I liked it as well. I thought maybe they did too much. Maybe they could have split it into 2 films or maybe a trilogy. Well, maybe not.
He had a 6-film franchise plan. He had a whole vision of 6 King Arthur films, and the people slept on him, and this is what happened. We don't get more Guy Ritchie content. Whatever.
This is what happened. I told you, this is the MCU fans. This is what they like. They hype up their own films and then they attack other films and say that's garbage, I don't want to watch that. They don't turn up for those films. You have to blame the MCU fans. That's where it's at. Anyway, had to get my MCU fanboy bashing. Someone else asked, this is kind of related to our earlier discussion, but if Jose M says, should I see The Handmaiden by Chan-wook Park? Yes, you should. It's pretty good. Did you see that, The Handmaiden?
I don't think so. What is that? Another foreign release?
Yeah, it was. Park Chan-wook, I should say. Park Chan-wook, Old Boy director. That was his latest film, The Handmaiden. Yeah, again, if you like Parasite, again, it's another awesome Korean director with his lots of twists and really good storytelling. Very kind of sexually explicit. I was like, it was a bit weird. A lot of lesbian sex. I don't know if the L word, I don't know if that's acceptable anymore. But yeah, lots of sex scenes. Really, but check out the trailer. I love the trailer. It has music by Vessel called Red Sex, which is a banging tune. I love it. I love that trailer. Someone else said something. No. Jose M says, I know I saw The Handmaiden on my recommended for Amazon Prime. Yes, you check it out. But I think we've covered everything. What do you say? What do you say, Lady Genevieve? Is there any thoughts? Anything? Any rants you want to go on? Have you seen the Suicide Squad photos of the costumes?
Oh my god. Listen.
I know it's just early shots. I know it's not set photos, but they look bad. Come on. And I'm hearing that they're just going to be characters that are going to die off in the opening scene. That's what Grace Randolph said. But
I saw her.
You saw
at
her?
New York Comic Con, just walking by, and I think it was on the same day that I had been messaging you, and I was so tempted to just be like, you'll never guess who I just saw. It was so random, just out of the blue. I was like, oh, all right.
You should have gone up to her, say, I'm a big fan of you and Film Gob. That's what you should have said. And then check her reaction.
Oh, do you two have beef?
Well, she blocked me. I don't have any beef with her. I think I said that.
Like you do, if she blocked you.
I do some videos, like memes about her sometimes, and she probably saw them and blocked me because of that. But it's not like hateful or anything. It's just fun. You're just having fun. And she's gonna have a cameo in Zombieland 2.
Yeah, that video ended up on my feed, I think, and I was just like, okay.
You probably won't see her because she'll have zombie makeup on or something like that.
But the thing is like, it doesn't even have anything to do with her, because obviously I already brought up that film earlier where, the whole point being that I don't really understand why people hype that film enough for them to go, yeah, all right, let's do a sequel 10 years later or whatever. So, and again, I'm not, like, I don't despise the film. The film's existence does not offend me, so I'm not going to go on some tirade about it because I don't have any issues with it like that, but I just, I watched it and I didn't really get it, so, it is what it is, and I'll try and move on to other things that I need to catch up on, because there are many things that I have not seen that I need to see, like, anything with Michael Shannon in it, basically. Oh my god. Wait,
speaking of... Speaking of Michael
Shannon,
Shannon,
coming out. He's got 2 films coming out. Ooh, it's a good year to be a Michael Shannon stan.
Have you seen his film? Have you seen his film 99 Homes?
Is that the one
with Andrew Garfield?
No, that's a different one. No, I haven't seen it. But I'm just gonna. Here's the problem. I have all these films where I'm going, oh no, these are big, blockbusters, and I need to catch up on these so that I can be in the know for conversations to do with them. And then I'm probably just gonna go down a rabbit hole of just watching obscure Michael Shannon films because he's not a careerist, so he just does the most random films, and I'll probably watch them anyway because ever since I saw him in Man of Steel, I was like, who is this? I love him. I will support him in anything that he does in life. And yeah, clearly. I mean, I made a whole video about him, clearly. So I have very strong feelings about Michael Shannon's General Zod.
But 99 Homes. It came out in 2014. It's quite good. It says, a recently unemployed single father, that's Andrew Garfield, struggles to get back his foreclosed home by working for the real estate broker, that's Michael Shannon, who is the source of his frustration, right? So he has to work for the guy who's, putting him into all this trouble. And there's a scene, you can check it out on YouTube. It's probably one of the best Michael Shannon scenes you'll see.
Is it him yelling?
Not yelling, just telling Andrew Garfield, I'm not going to end up like all those other people who have messed up their lives because of getting into debt and things like that. It's an amazing scene. So the film's really good as well. So
I just love him. I mean, did you see I made a whole video about Michael Shannon's General Zod?
I did. I saw it. Yeah, I shared it on Facebook.
Oh my God! I had no idea you were using Facebook.
I only use it for my Film God page.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even remember the last time that I logged on there because I just don't use it.
My personal page, I'm not really into at all. I might check in once a couple of days.
Oh, not even. It's probably been months or a year since I don't even know. I just remember since I've been on there. Yeah, no. But I love Michael Shannon's General Zod. Like, I stand so hard, and it's just like I almost feel bad for how much I love that character because then any film, not just like a DCEU film or like a superhero film or just films in general, I just compare every villain to him because to me that's just the pinnacle of villain content for me. I just love it. Like the performance, the writing, the world building, the nuance, everything. So yeah, it's a good one. Like I can't even imagine anyone topping him. So yeah.
I don't think we've seen any comic book film villain as good as that since.
No, I mean, I think the only one that was like even trying to get up to that level was Orm in Aquaman because that's another kind of nuanced because of the writing and the fact that there is the familial bond between the hero and the villain, so it automatically interconnects them in a way where it can't just be a simple like, oh, you're the bad guy, I'm gonna defeat you and like wash my hands of the situation. Yeah, so that was the only one and also just because Patrick Wilson is a great actor and he plays it like that. He doesn't just phone it in like some people. But that's the thing that I always wonder is I can never tell if a lot of these actors, if they phone in their performances or if it's more so a problem of the editing. Like maybe they give it a proper go, but maybe, because I heard, I mean, this is going way back and I hate to even bring up this type of drama, but I heard that Christopher Eccleston put a lot more into his performance than people actually got to see in Thor: The Dark World, which makes sense. I mean, considering the type of person he is, I don't think he would take a job just to phone it in. He would take it seriously. But yeah, that's just one example, though. So I can never really tell what the situation is with that. If it's like a writing issue or an editing issue or an actor issue. So yeah.
I like the clip of Patrick Wilson in Aquaman. It's a compilation of him shouting, yelling. Yeah.
I love that. And I think he retweeted it as well, or he quote tweeted it or something, and just like had a good laugh about it. I was like, oh, we love that. We love a guy with a sense of humor about, just being memed like that. Because, taken out of context, it is pretty funny just to see those very small clips just edited all together. So, yeah. I thought he was really good in that. I really, really enjoyed it. That was another film that I watched and have been debating, when to do a video about it. Because there's just always it's not that I don't want to do a video about it. It's just there's too many films that I want to do videos about. So I can only make them so quickly. Because, you've seen, I take a lot longer to make my videos. I don't just sit and talk nonsense for 10 minutes and then just upload it. I take a lot more hours than that to make proper videos. Which is probably not a good thing, considering the type of content that YouTube likes to favor. But oh well.
You should check out like Reddit, because I think your content suits certain Reddit groups about movies, and if you're making a DC, if you're making a video about Zod, then you can certainly post it in the DC Reddit. I think that is the kind of content Reddit users are interested in, so you should check. You can use that more than Twitter.
I've never been on Reddit. I have no idea how to use it.
Yeah.
I guess I should learn then. It's so hard though. There's so many sites now. It's just I sound like an old person, don't I? Oh, there's so many. I don't know how does this work. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm trying to. I have to do a new DC video this month because that was the one that people voted on, and I have a new poll up now for people to vote on for November, and it kind of seems like it's already been decided with the way the voting has gone, that like even if a few more people vote on it, I feel like the same winner is going to win. So it is what it's just like, even when I try to put in other types of films into these polls, people just pick one of the DC options. I'm like, all right, if that's what you're voting on, then like I can fit that in the month. It's really more so just a way of trying to hold myself accountable to try to actually get through, more of the films that I know that I want to talk about. And then if I put a poll up, then people vote on it. And then it forces me to actually commit to, I said I was going to do this for this month, so I'm going to do it. So I'm glad that I started doing that. Yeah.
But how long have we been here? Let's see. An hour and 12 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think we pretty much covered, we talked about the Joker theories, we talked about Gemini Man, Parasite, and a whole lot more. So anyone tuning in late, you should go back and have a watch. And another entertaining episode with Lady Genevieve. You can find Lady Genevieve on Twitter, YouTube. Is it just Lady _ Genevieve?
No, it's Lady Genevieve, all one word. And some people have put my @ in the chat, but I can also leave a comment after this is up, and then people will know where to find me.
Yep. But of course, if you want to follow Film Gob here, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Discord, if that's your thing. But yeah. I hope you all enjoy your Sunday evening, afternoon, wherever you are. New day, new week starts tomorrow, and I'm going to leave everyone with this thought, right? What is it? Oh yeah, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? They have done for films and cinema what Nickelback and Creed did for music. And that's all I'm going to say. Goodbye, everyone.